You're listening to the Drip Podcast with Nick and Mars. Keep it locked.
And I'm a...
Hey, everybody. So the last comment was by Mr. Boyd.
Sir Boyd.
Men taking their wives' last name.
Wait, before we go into that,
I
fact checked this this earning or wage gap since our co-host
thinks that we make more money than men.
It says a woman working full-time earns 80.7 cents for every dollar a man working full-time earns.
Wow.
Additionally, women's median annual earnings are $9,000 less than a men's, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. I don't know how much more fact you can get.
Yeah, what is that? Is that race, us?
Oh, we can further break that down, but I was getting just the base.
Because I think you really...
You're just doing
African American.
I'm doing only African
well, we can go with that too. I'll find that too.
Go ahead,
Come
help
back to me
yourself.
later.
Well, you figure if the median for the majority is 9,000,
It's probably even larger for African American.
9,000 less. Yeah, it'll be larger.
The gap is even further apart.
You think
the gap
so?
will be further
you don't
apart.
Think that, you don't think that black men have been disenfranchised in the corporate...
Y'all have, but again, you
not as much as we have.
Exactly.
But there's a tremendous rise for black women in the economy as far as corporate is related.
True.
It's rising. It is. That's true.
We've always been the most educated.
But we are not there. We are not there yet. We have not.
Where?
When you're talking about income, annual income, we are not. We're nowhere near you guys. Break it down for us, Cam.
Because you don't have a womb, you're always going to be higher than us.
Absolutely.
Always. That's just the way this society works.
I don't care if you're an Asian. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're African American. You guys are going to make more money than women.
And us being black women, we're definitely always going to be at the bottom of that totem pole.
I love this information. This is awesome.
You know what? Because you don't believe it, do you?
I'm not saying I don't believe it because I'm about to come back around. And I'm about this. Come on, finish this.
Okay.
I like what y'all saying. Give me some more.
Okay. So Cam's gonna do some research on that. Hopefully, we'll get it by the end of the show.
But a whole show on this one.
Let's talk about these last names, guys. Andre, would you take my last name?
No.
Oh,
why?
Because I wouldn't. It's not. I don't think it's. Don't put me on the show. I ain't
he said, "Leave me out of this."
Leave me out of this. Yeah.
but no, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Would
Heck no. And I mean that with all due respect. I would not take her last name because she's expecting me to do for her, where I am to continue the name of strength. She's attached to me because she believes in my vision. She believes in where we're going. So that allows for there to be a joining into something that will create the legacy that we all want. Hyphenations is something different, and we can get that to another time.
Boom, I got something. Say you are just a mere mortal. You're like, I won't say bottom of the
you're a
totem pole,
mere mortal,
but her family, her legacy, her last name carries generations. I mean, people know her across the land, since we're going to do biblical context.
Yeah.
And you were just you.
So did
would you hyphenate your name?
So hold on.
To attach yourself to
Did
strength.
Kanye hyphenate his name?
He probably should have.
Did she hyphenate her name?
That was separate. They kept their last names because of who they are, celebrity wise, fame.
But
people know them
mortal?
as West.
I gotta be mortal.
Card-
They not mortal.
We're
They got
talking
to
about
keep
just
theirs.
regular, ordinary people.
No, Kanye ain't taking her last name.
He probably should have.
I'm saying in terms
No, he should not have.
No, we just
might have
discussed
helped
that
his
at the
mental
beginning.
state.
And what's the
Or made it worse.
right?
But no, I'm saying,
and I'm using that because of those who are in that category, that celebrity category. He didn't even do it. So Denzel Washington, a Will Smith, She hyphenated hers because she saw the value of him being the head of that family. It's not changing no matter what your status
I wish
is.
I had Jada on speed dial because I don't feel like she thought that way.
Yes, she
did.
does.
Jada Pinkett Smith. Everything she does is about supporting her family from the head down.
I mean, her name rings Jada Pinkett.
Right.
She put Jada Pinkett
Smith, yeah.
Right.
But
She
we're not
put
talking
the
about hyphenating. We're
exclamation
talking about
on the
men
end.
taking women's last
Well, her
names.
name is Jada Smith.
Right. Jada Smith.
Again.
Her name is Nicole Taylor.
Taylor. Period.
She put Nicole Garrett Taylor for some
But he said,
other reasons. I don't
Orlando
know.
said,
But I need that Taylor on there.
Right.
Orlando said the woman is attaching herself to the strength of the man, right? The passing down the legacy of the last name.
It's attaching to what he has presented as the vision for where they're going. I believe in where you're going. I'm taking on you. I'm
So
going
because
with
you don't take her last name, you don't believe in where she's going or her potential.
Why would she be going anywhere other than where I'm going?
Ooh, almost cussed. Almost cussed.
Now, since you need
I'm
context,
about to throw this
let
phone
me
at
give
you,
you
Orlando.
context. Let me give you context.
I like that. School's in session.
Listen, let me give you context. If he's going in a direction that is clearly, say, toward the financial world, why would he be involving himself with anybody who's all about racking up debt?
Oh, but it happens.
It happens, but that's not because this information I'm giving you now was known. It's because they were looking at something other than what the vision was.
But that goes
If
back to
he's-
the conversation we had last week. If those details aren't defined in the beginning, okay, you walked into
Prove
some
my
debt.
point.
But here-
so
but-
she has to be going in the same direction that
But
he's
why does
going.
she have to go in the direction? Why can't they go together?
They are
They
going
will be going
together.
together.
They
the
have
way you
to
made
go.
it sound is like he's leading and she just gonna be 5 steps
why I
behind.
gave you
Well,
context.
here is what I think. They both have to go together. You both have to be going in the same direction. But in anything in life, there has to be a leader. In anything in life,
A
when
head.
you go to work, you have a boss. When anything in life, there is a leader. There's someone who is generally, I don't want to say in charge because that brings on some other stuff, but you have a leader in everything.
But he's saying
life.
in this context, the man is the leader financially. We're talking about financially right now, right?
Were you talking about financially, or were you talking about just overall the man being a leader?
There's an assumption
being
that
the leader
he
in the
knows
house?
what the heck he's doing.
Yes, you
all
have
the
to have-
time.
So the vision is, well, the reason she would follow him, period, is because he's got vision. And the only reason he would connect to her is because he sees how what she does doesn't have to be exact same thing that he's doing, but it definitely has to make sense as to why they're engaged at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes better sense than the last.
It
I
does
told you, you gotta have
what he
context.
said
That's what
before,
you said,
it was a little harsh. No, I agree with it, but it could have been taken out of
Truth.
context.
Hurts.
I don't know if it was the truth.
Speak your truth.
It sounds true, but I don't know if it was the
Hurts.
truth.
Yeah.
Capital letters.
I believe the man should take the lead in the house, but taking the lead in the house does not mean you demean me or
Right.
overlook me.
Right.
We're working together to get to the vision.
Making decisions together.
but there
But I don't think
always
that-
has to be a leader. Always.
Miss Linda Gamble writes, I'm a traditionalist.
Mm-hmm.
However, what about the woman who makes more and the male who would make the better quote unquote house husband? Orlando, hold on the scripture for this. Okay, so, so
No
no
scripture.
more scripture.
No scripture.
So cut the scripture out. Well, then, to some degree, I'm gonna have to silence myself because there's some things that you cannot get away from simply because, even as a traditionalist, the word itself is scripturally based.
Yeah.
So with that, there is a value to being a house husband, but not without there
How
being
does
some
tradition
understanding.
equal scripture?
Tradition?
You brought it back in again.
Tradition equals scripture because your foundation. Do you have money
No.
that says, God, we do not trust? That we'll
Tradition doesn't
spend?
equate to scripture. Tradition just means that it's been consistently done.
Correct. Correct. Based
Yeah.
on something that was there prior to.
And it doesn't have to be scripture, though.
In this culture, it is.
No.
For the most part. Now, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing that traditions are different everywhere. They definitely are. Because just because someone has common sense doesn't mean it's common within your culture.
Right.
But everyone assumes that common sense is equal across the board.
And it's definitely
It is
not.
definitely not.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so I'm saying that if the tradition is there, I think when Miss Linda Gamble was wanting me to back off from, I'll concede, and I'll say, yes, it's nothing wrong with the husband being a house husband, but it has to have that element that you brought up before, Miss Nick, and that is
You saw my face, right?
right. And that simply is, there has to be a balance in the household where she's not degraded, but she's valued for everything that she brings to the table, because there is a tremendous amount of worth in the woman. I don't care what race
And
it
vice
is.
versa.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
he's
but-
at
yeah.
home and he's taking care of business at home, I feel like the woman should not degrade him or make him feel less than, because
Absolutely.
he's taking care of the household. He's
But
still
time and time again, we see it happening.
True.
Where when the woman is making the money, she's,
Throwing
bringing
it in his
home the
face.
bacon. There is going to be a time where she throws that up in his face. I don't care who you are, what community, race you are. It's going to be thrown up in your face.
Religion, it
and
don't
that,
matter.
And religion don't matter. And that is a clear sign that things are out of balance and out of whack.
yeah.
That's just my perception.
Because it happens vice versa.
Yeah.
Men might throw it
I
up
think,
too.
I think
Yeah.
it almost looks like, well, I've heard that before, and I've seen it being used on other men before, and it looks like they really enjoy saying it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's some kind of pleasure in saying.
You don't think men get pleasure from that?
I'm not saying in general. It's a pleasure both
Yeah.
ways.
To know that you have the
some-
upper hand.
You have some buttholes of men.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause
Because
money-
they don't have understanding of what it's all about.
Right.
You don't use that against someone. That's just where you are together, because technically the man down the street in the cul-de-sac could say the same thing about you.
Yeah.
You know, I pay I'm the one that signed your checks.
Absolutely.
You know, we all are in that similar situation,
Mm-hmm.
but to bring that home and beat your wife down with it, you ain't doing nothing but setting or planting seeds to reap a harvest at work where they going to remind you
Yeah.
who you really are, where you really fit.
Boom.
And you have not caught on to what you have is ours. It's not just yours.
Right.
So if I decide to allow you to, if I'm the man and I decide to allow, or we decide that you stay home to take care of the house, what I'm bringing to the house benefits everybody.
Exactly.
And I should never, man or female,
Right.
man or woman, put that in your face to degrade you. But I still say, Auntie Linda Gamble, there's nothing wrong with it. It just has to be decided very early on, or it has to be a discussion if that's what we're going to do.
Miss Jolita Marsh
Queen
says,
Marsh.
the one who makes the money rules.
No,
That should be like
Mom.
at the front of the
No.
house.
Right.
Before you walk in the door.
Instead of a welcome mat.
No. You know,
I love it.
because here, okay, so I'm gonna go back to church.
Okay.
That's all I know. That's
good.
not all I know, but that's what I'm
foundation.
familiar with.
Uh-huh.
So you have female pastors, and we're not going to get into biblical about if women should be preaching. Lando, don't go there.
You know
So-
it's coming.
His eyes lit
Yeah,
up.
I'm gonna need you to concede for a minute. So you have, I'm just using it as an example. You have women pastors whose husbands are members of their church. I know one woman who I admire, and she is the bishop of her church in another state, and she has churches under her, and she will tell you, I am the head of this house, this church, but my husband is my head. Still, no matter what title or collar I have on, he is still my head.
I can respect that.
A lot of women,
Because she's self-aware,
absolutely.
but knows in our relationship the balance.
This is the role.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the role.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this, and we're not going to talk about it because I was just a little bit off.
Yeah.
But that whole thing brings to question in my mind, when you have a woman that has that kind of leadership, as far as I'm concerned, she's no different than Deborah in the Bible. They needed to be a leader. Got it. But when you consider that there are a lot more quote unquote co-pastors in churches where